All right, hey music producers and sound designers, welcome back to the stream. Today, we're going to be diving into Reaktor and we're going to be looking at designing some custom sounds in Reaktor. Specifically, we're going to be designing a custom bass in Reaktor and Ableton today. So I'm going to be starting off and we're going to open up our version of Reaktor. That's going to look like something like this. Just to start you off from the beginning, we are going to look at opening it up as a plugin, pulling it into our DAW, and having Reaktor as a sound design tool. So this is going to be streamed for those sound designers and producers out there, and it's really going to help you to design, if you're looking to design a techno bass or any other bass for that matter, for your sound design needs. So let's hop right into it, and we're going to get started. So we're going to be designing a bass line for a techno bass line for our within Reaktor. So when you open up Reaktor, we're going to have three different sections. One is the play section, one is the patch section, and one is the build section. So we're going to be jumping into the build section. We're going to build out a synth, which you can build synth samplers and effects in. We're going to be jumping in there and using that as our basis starting point. We're going to hit the edit key and we're going to edit. And if you want information while you're going along, you can hit that info hint on the right side in order to show your info hints or disable them. Those essentially let you see what each input or output does. When you hover over for like 1 or 2 seconds, you can see exactly what it does. And that's helpful when you're building out your patches and your modular racks from scratch. So today we're going to be building a punchy, distorted bass line in Reaktor. And it's going to be no presets, fully modular. So if you're a sound designer or a producer looking to expand your toolkit, then this is for you. We're going to be starting with the essentials, a sawtooth oscillator. So I'm going to go into our session here. We're going to go into Ubuntu blocks, and we're going to pull in the most important blocks we're going to need. One of the most important blocks we're going to need, and that's going to be a note in block. That's going to take signal from our MIDI keyboard, which I'm pressing now, and you can see the light lighting up here. It's going to take signal from there, and it's going to send it to our modular components. So now we have the basis of our sound. We also need a sound source, a sawtooth preferably for this for the sound, because it gives us that richer harmonic content that we need. So I'm going to go and choose a bento box oscillator, and that's going to be something like this. And we're going to change that wave to a saw wave. So saw wave looks like, you guessed it, a saw. So I'm going to change it to a saw right there. And we have a saw wave. It's rich in harmonic content, so it's going to be great for shaping our synth, or our sound. So now I'm going to route it to a filter. So we're going to go from a saw to a filter. We're going to set it to low pass because that's what we're going to be using, low pass. Luckily, it's already set by default to that low pass shape, so we can add that brightness to the sound. And we're going to watch and we're going to tweak how the cutoff changes the sound. So I'm going to route in my pitch controls and my out controls, and we're going to route that to our VCA, which is our amplitude control. And I'm going to route that out right here, and going to change that to we got our saw. So now let's play sound through this. You can't hear anything right away because our amplitude is not turned up. So right now you should be able to hear sound coming out of our sawtooth. I'm going to turn it down. We're going to add in an envelope so we have control over the amplitude. So this gives control, gate control, like on-off switch over our modulation source. Going to turn up the modulation depth that we have so we can again control over the whole range of the amplitude. Going to make sure our volume's down as well so we don't blow our eardrums out, because this is uncontrolled signals. You don't want them to blow your eardrums out because then you can't hear, and that would suck. So I turned it down already, just on the right side with the master volume knob, or you can mute out the sound while you're making changes, but I'm going to just do that for now. And next we're going to add something to maybe some distortion to the sound. So I'm going to bring in some distortion to our sound, and that's going to help us to drive it. So I'm going to bring a driver and connect it up to our VCA. And from the VCA, we can send that out. So now it's not just going to make it louder. It's going to add some harmonic content and some complexity to our sound and push the sound essentially forward in the mix. So I'll dial in just enough distortion so that we can drive it to get some grit, but not collapse the low end, if you know what I mean, like cause it to go all mushy. So So I'm liking the way that's sounding now. So I'm gonna keep going here. I'm gonna add an LFO to this filter as well. I want to modulate that cutoff. So I'm gonna bring in an LFO. So our LFO is gonna be just a bento box LFO. We're gonna use it to modulate the filter. So I'm gonna add it as a modulation source. Oh, that's not the filter. The filter is right here. Gonna add it to modulation source A. Then I'm going to turn and name this filter LFO. Filter LFO. So that's the filter LFO. So it's going to control low frequency oscillations of that filter. I'm going to set the modulation depth on our filter, and we're going to use that LFO to control it. So now you can see there's a modulation input. It's flashing red and blue on our filter. So now I'm going to click it. I'm going to turn the cutoff up, and now you're going to see it modulating because the LFO is working even though we haven't done anything to it, because it's still working at 50 hertz. If we turn it to 0, then it should not be essentially be moving at all. So we have 0 movement here on this little tick showing the actual modulation depth of the LFO. So when you turn this up even just a little bit, you're going to get some modulation depth happening, but you don't hear anything because it's working on the sound. There has to be a sound generated in order for us to hear the audible low frequency oscillation. So I'm going to put on a scope so you can visualize that low frequency oscillation just like this. I'm going to throw in a scope, and it's going to be into our filter. Actually, I'm going to put it in the out port just like that. Then we can visualize our waveform as it comes out. It's a saw, very buzzy saw. And you can see it's growing a little bit, kind of shrinking a little bit, kind of growing a little bit more. That's because of the low frequency oscillation that's happening in the background, which is this little beat going up and down, up and down, up and down. That's on the cutoff. And you can see that, visualize that in the waveform, because you'll see it going up and down, up and down. At the very top of the cycle, the positive side of the cycle, you're seeing a little spike in the volume or amplitude, or that's what's happening. It's kind of spiking the volume and the cutoff, and then it's coming back down gradually. So that's just a demonstration of that. And not to over exaggerate it, I'm going to turn up the LFO all the way. And now you can hear an audible LFO sound. You hear an audible LFO sound. So it can be used as an effect and really make it stand out. So I'm going to add a little bit of delay to the sound to finish it off. And let's see what that sounds like. So let's bring in some delay. I feel like that'll add a little extra signature touch to it, make it sound better. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments whatever you want, what you would add to it, or what, if you think there's any way that's better to do it. I'd be glad to hear it. So So I'm liking that. Maybe a little reverb on the end. I think it's pretty much where I want it to be. We can try the reverb. If it doesn't work out, then we just remove it. So sounds nice about experimenting a little bit on the end. Okay, so I'm liking that. So if we throw it under a kick and context, we're just going to save our sound really quickly here. Just save as. Once we've got it saved, we're going to use it in a context, just make a 4-bar loop at a defined BPM. And then we're going to just assign track color, and we're going to fill it in with some MIDI notes. Okay, I'm going to this time maybe play them in, give me a better feel. Okay. Okay, so I got something there. I'm going to change those notes a little bit. Okay, and we add a little drum beat over that. We can see what happens when you add a loop on top. Just to give it some context, so I'm going to bring in a little kit that we can just demo it out. This might not be the ideal sounds you would use in your production, but just to give you a taste of the flavor of what you can do with the sounds that you create. Okay, we're just gonna record that in. Let's go ahead and record that section in. Let's get that note to start at the beginning. Scored that in. Just gonna line this up. Okay, so let's duplicate that part. Just gonna do another part. Want to add some kind of hi-hats. Let's do one more part. I think I want some hats in here, maybe snare. I'm going to mute that part. So you got the idea, hopefully, from this session of how to really create a loop out of your sounds. And that was just the beginning, pretty much, of a loop and of a production. So I just want to leave you with that, and just remember that you can take your sounds anywhere you want to take them and create what you want with them. But so I just want to leave you with that, and I just want to say keep sound designing. And if you're a producer or sound designer looking to push your modular sound and modular chops to the next level, drop in the comments what patch or type you want me to build next, and we can work on that. So make sure you're subscribed here, and this channel is focused on modular sound design for modern producers, and each week we go deeper. We go deep every week, pretty much. And look forward to the next live stream. So I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for hanging out, and patch on. Peace out.